You're listening to an Airwave Media Podcast.
Feel like who art Ed?
Try to slice it.
Who art is Mr. Wood, art Ed me?
Good. Either way, it's ambiguous. It works on so many levels.
I know.
That's off to a great start.
Welcome to Who Arted. I'm your host, Kyle Wood, and today we're looking at one of India's national treasures, Amrita Sher-Gil. Amrita Sher-Gil was born January 30th, 1913 in Budapest, Hungary. Her father was a Sikh aristocrat by the name of Amrita Sher-Gil Majithia. He was a scholar in Sanskrit and Persian. Her mother was a Hungarian-Jewish opera singer named Marie Antoinette Goetzmann. The two of them met in 1912 when Marie Antoinette was visiting with Princess Bamba Sutherland in Lahore, India. Both of them came from wealthy and well-connected families. Amrita was drawn to art at a young age. I've read that as a child, she would have servants in her home model for her so that she could paint them. But after World War I, Hungary faced economic turmoil and political upheaval. There were revolutionaries and counter-revolutionaries taking to the streets. The Sher-Gil family experienced financial hardship, and they didn't particularly care for it. So in 1921, they decided to move to Summerhill, Shimla, India, where family connections could help them out. In addition, Amrita's younger sister, Indira, had health issues, and they believed that the climate in Shimla and fresh mountain air would be a better environment for her. The move exposed Amrita to Indian art, culture, and landscapes that would shape her artistic development. In addition to painting, Amrita and her sister took music lessons, learning piano and violin. As kids, the two of them gave concerts and acted in plays at the local theater. In 1924, Amrita and her mother went to Florence, Italy. Sher-Gil enrolled at Santa Annunziata, a Catholic school where she continued her art studies. The thing is, she had a bit of a rebellious streak. She was expelled for drawing a nude figure, which was considered inappropriate and violated the religious school's strict moral code. It probably didn't help that she declared herself an atheist. While her time there was short-lived, the travel to Italy exposed Amrita to the works of Italian Renaissance greats. She returned to India that same year, but just a little while later, at the age of 16, Amrita went to study in Paris. She attended the prestigious École des Beaux-Arts from 1929 to 1934, where she was influenced by both traditional European painting and the Parisian avant-garde. She was a big fan of artists like Cézanne and Modigliani. If you want to learn more about them, I'll put a link to my Cézanne episodes in the show notes, and stay tuned for an upcoming episode on Modigliani. But back to Sher-Gil. In 1933, she achieved a tremendous career milestone. Her painting, Young Girls, was accepted for exhibition in the Grand Salon. Not only that, but she won a gold medal and was named an associate of the Grand Salon. She was only 19 years old at the time, making her the youngest member of the Grand Salon, and she was also the only Asian artist accepted as a member at that time. This critical success solidified her place in artistic circles and opened doors for her to show her work in other prestigious venues. While her early work showed heavy European and post-impressionistic influence, in 1934 she returned to India. And many say that her exposure to these different cultural traditions is what made her one of the greatest artists of the day, but at the time, it presented some challenges. Sher-Gil struggled to find her place in the Indian art scene. She found the art establishment in India to be conservative and resistant to her modern style, which had been heavily influenced by European trends. Her work was often criticized for being too westernized and lacking Indian sensibility. As she traveled across India, she began to reconnect with her Indian heritage and found inspiration in the everyday lives of ordinary people. She started to incorporate Indian themes, colors, and aesthetics into her work, leading to the development of her signature style, a unique blend of European and Indian influences. By the late 1930s, Sher-Gil's art started gaining recognition and appreciation in India. Her paintings were praised for their bold colors, expressive figures, and insightful portrayal of Indian life. She began to exhibit her work in major cities and received critical acclaim from both Indian and Western art critics. The painting Bride's Toilet from 1937, which I'm using as the cover art for this episode if you're listening on a platform that supports that feature, that's one of these widely celebrated works. It offers a glimpse into a traditional Indian bridal ritual. The scene depicts a young bride seated on the floor, partially dressed while other women attend to her. One woman is meticulously braiding the bride's hair, while the other holds a vessel, perhaps containing ceremonial oils and perfumes. 2 children are also present, observing the scene with curiosity. This was part of her South Indian trilogy focused on traditional Indian art and drawing inspiration from the Anjata cave frescoes. The influence of European post-impressionism is also visible in the bold colors and simplified forms. The painting is rich in symbolism, representing the transition of a young woman into a new phase of life. The bride's partial nudity and adorned state symbolize vulnerability and the shedding of old identities. The intricate mehndi designs on her hands represent the cultural significance of marriage and the intricate patterns of life. The women attending to the bride symbolize the support and guidance provided by female elders in traditional Indian society. In a way, it reminds me of Marie Cassatt's painting, as it provides a glimpse into lived experiences of women at a time when most things were viewed through the male lens. The portrayal of the bride and her attendants is both intimate and dignified, capturing the nuances of their emotions and experiences. In 1938, Amrita became a bride herself when she married Dr. Victor Egan. The two both had strong personalities. They shared an intellectual curiosity, and both were extremely passionate about their work. Sadly, Amrita Sher-Gil's promising career was cut short by her untimely death just 3 years later, at the age of 28. Just days before her first major solo exhibition in Lahore, she fell gravely ill. Amrita slipped into a coma and passed away on December 5th, 1941. To this day, nobody knows exactly how she passed. Her mother actually accused Amrita's husband, Victor Egan, of murder. Egan was a doctor, so it seems reasonable to assume that he would have the ability to cause a mysterious and lethal illness, but from everything I've read, there's no hard evidence to support that theory. Today, some researchers will also point to other medical conditions, suggesting things like kidney failure, but again, it seems unlikely that we will ever have certainty. The shocking death of a rising star and the mystery surrounding it left people wondering not only how she passed away, but it also left them wondering about the unfulfilled potential and what masterpieces could have been if she had lived a bit longer. Of course, mysteries take root in the imagination and only added to her mystique and solidified her position as one of India's most celebrated artists. In 1972, Amrita Sher-Gil was one of 9 artists whose work was declared a national treasure by the Indian government. Consequently, her paintings are legally barred from leaving India. Now, despite her short life, Amrita Sher-Gil's impact on Indian art is undeniable. Her bold approach, unique style, and willingness to challenge conventions paved the way for modern Indian art. She's considered a pioneer who bridged the gap between Western and Indian artistic traditions and continues to inspire generations of artists. This concludes this week's episode of Who Arted, part of the Airwave Media Podcast Network. If you found this tolerable, please leave a rating or review on your favorite podcast app. You can find images of the work being discussed this week and every week on social media at Who Arted Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and of course on the website whoartedpodcast.com. Podcast done.